And I'm going to say that tomorrow night, AJ Styles, the phenomenal AJ Styles, will be winning the undisputed WWE Championship. I guess it all starts with tomorrow, the Clash at the Castle Premium Live event. Steve, how are you feeling about this show?
Surprised that as of, us doing this, taping this right now, there's only 5 matches announced.
I know.
It's weird. I could see where a couple of these might go a little bit long. And, I'm sure that with it being, a premium live event in Scotland, I'm sure there's going to be some other shenanigans thrown in there, like a segment or something.
Absolutely.
But weird that as of, we don't know what's going to happen on SmackDown tonight. But barring that, only 5 announced matches as of right now.
100%. Yeah, I agree. I think it's I hate the 5-match show. I think it's too little. They used to do those for NXT back in the day, but NXT, you knew going in, most of those premium live events or specials were those were only going to be a 2-hour special. These events typically run over 3 hours, and it's the second straight month that they've done this with the 5 matches. I know there are a lot of people who are less is more. I'm first off, more is more. I've always been a more is more. Give me a 6-hour show any day of the week. But, at the end of the day, because I'm of the mindset that if there's a lot of matches on the show, if there's a couple of clunkers, you can still have a great show. But if you have 2 or 3 bad matches on tomorrow's show, and there's only 5, it's not going to be a great, it could be tough. Though I will say, the last month when they did this, I actually thought the show was pretty good. So, I guess we'll see kind of where it goes from there.
I will say, the flip side to that is if you know that you're only going to have a certain kind of run time, give these matches the time that they deserve. And so they're able to kind of tell the story that they need to and draw it out and use their time that they have. But I feel like you got 1 or 2 that I'm kind of looking at this going, how long could that really go?
For sure. Yeah, no, I'm with you 100%. I think, we'll break down the card here, I guess but yeah, I'm with you in terms of the show. Just, I don't understand what the fascination is suddenly with doing the 5-match show. What would you say is, like, if you were booking a show, the proper, and I guess your ideal number of matches for a WWE pay-per-view?
So if I'm looking at, and we're going 3-hour runtime.
3-hour runtime. Maybe even go a little over. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is also that it kind of does depend on the kind of match, right? Because if you think back to, going with like Royal Rumble, for instance, if there's anything other than the Royal Rumble is just gravy. Like, you could just have the 2 Royal Rumble matches and call it a night most of the time. If we're talking about like War Games or something like that, sometimes War Games feels like it drags on and on because you got 2 War Games matches, you got the full lead up and all of that stuff. And really, what other matches are there that you're going to go and say, I'm going to remember that match over the War Games match? Most of the time, that's not going to happen. So, But on like a regular kind of standard PLE like this, I would say maybe 6 or 7 matches, depending on what kind of match types we have. Here we have the only kind of more standout non-one-on-one match is the triple threat tag team match.
Yeah.
Then you have the I Quit match that's kind of thrown in there. But other than that, you got 3 other just kind of vanilla singles matches.
Right.
So if that's the case, you got to add 1 or 2 more. But, like I said, I'm hoping that we're going to have some sort of other extra segment that's going to draw out that runtime. But barring that, give me a couple extra matches.
And I think their thought process behind it is that they've been starting to give each one of the cities that are hosting the premium live event SmackDown as well. So for King and Queen of the Ring, like it was a couple weeks ago, you had Saudi Arabia had SmackDown, and then that had a variety of folks that were not on the premium live event.
Right.
And then they obviously had the premium live event. I know, for example, tonight, Kevin Owens is going up against Solo Sikoa, and the team of Grayson Waller and Austin Theory are going up against DIY. And I do apologize if now you have the awful DIY theme song in your head for me just mentioning them. So you do have a couple of matches that are kind of set up, but I agree with you though. I think it's also just like 5 matches it goes by too quick. For me, I'm more of a let's have 7 or 8. I think is good. I think once he get past 7 or 8, the kid inside me still goes, oh wow, we got 10 matches, it's gonna be great. But like the adult in me goes, some of these are not gonna get the time they deserve, and it's gonna be almost too much. So I could see kind of both sides of it there.
Yeah, and the fact that they're, I mean, on the upside, they're all for a belt.
Mm-hmm.
You have none that are not, but again, you could have had something where it's for something else, some sort of storyline kind of going through. No bloodline.
Yeah.
There's no men's tag team matches on here.
None.
You have the other women's title that's not here. You don't have a U.S. title, obviously, because, when does LP want to work?
Right.
And then that's it.
Very, very true. Yeah. No, and I mean, I really feel like it's almost a disservice to both sets of these tag team champions that neither of them have been on any. I don't believe any of them have had title defenses on any of the premium live events since WrestleMania.
No.
So it's like at the end of the day, the title reigns are not going to be important if you're not putting any of them on premium live event, and you have the space to do it. So it's too much.
And it feels weird, especially considering we know in a couple of years SummerSlam is going to be going to 2 nights.
Right.
Which also means that there's probably a good chance where Royal Rumble is also going to be following suit in the near future. And then it kind of feels uneven where you have these shows that you already have WrestleMania that's 2 nights, and you have all of this buildup, and then you have a PLE like this, which is 5 matches. It kind of feels uneven.
It really does. Yeah, and I mean, in looking at the actual, first off, if you are in the United States here in the East Coast, like we are, the show, remember, has a 2 p.m. start time. That is a tough one for me, but I'm going to do whatever it takes because I got to be honest, I don't know. I'm pretty torn on a lot of these, man. I was taking a look at this. This is, I will say, if there's one thing about this show going into it that I am excited about, I think any of the matches can go either way. I don't think any of them are solidified. I am also a bit of a mark, in fairness. I went in thinking Seth Rollins was losing that world title every single time he had a title defense. From basically the minute he won it until the WrestleMania. I will say to this day, SummerSlam last year, him going up against Finn Balor, I was probably the most invested for a live match I had been in a long time. I was living and dying with every near fall, and it was because I was starting to believe that Rollins was a vulnerable champion. So, but with that said, all these matches, I don't know which way it's going to go. And so I will try to watch this one live. It is difficult for me to do so on a Saturday afternoon. I am usually with both kids. My wife is she's a student, so she's usually studying. But tomorrow night, my wife is taking me out for the date night portion of Father's Day weekend. We're going to go check out Bad Boys for Life at a Diamond Theater, so we're excited about that. And I don't even know if that's what the name of the theme is, the name of the movie is, but whatever the new Bad Boys is. So, with that being said, I'm not going to be able to watch it like I typically do in the standard time slot. So I'm going to try to muscle up here and actually watch the show in real time as best that I could. So I'm excited about it. Should be cool to do that, even though I do hate the time slot.
I will actually probably be out, which is funny. So I will probably be watching it on a delay.
And I feel like that's got to be a lot of people. Like that's the hard part with these shows that come on. I'd much prefer a 2-3 in the morning start time, provided I don't have any. I could watch the show and go to sleep afterwards for an hour or two. But these shows that start 1-2 o'clock in the afternoon on a Saturday or a Sunday, really, those are tough sells in my opinion.
I mean, it's standard football time, in my opinion.
That's true. That is true.
But at any rate, are we ready to dive into the matches?
Yeah, let's dive into the matches. That's a great point. I didn't think about that. That is standard football time. Good call there. I don't complain and bellyache about the football games that are on at 1 o'clock. But yeah, all right. So main event here on this show, I'm assuming, is going to be the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, defending his WWE Heavyweight Championship. The world title, I believe, is. No, I guess it's not the world title. I guess the Universal Championship.
His is the undisputed WWE Championship.
Undisputed WWE Championship against the phenomenal AJ Styles. And Steve, what have you thought about this deal here with AJ, heating him back up here for a second world title match with the fake retirement angle and everything that kind of comes with that?
I feel like the fake retirement angle was not needed. And, we talked about it being kind of a copy and paste from the Mark Henry angle a few years ago and that kind of thing. But I feel like it wasn't needed. like you could have just said, I got one more in me, or like, let's run it back. We had such a good match, that kind of thing, where like it feels like he's trying too hard to be the heel, where really it could just be, I'm a very good challenger for you. Yeah. I'm the caliber of a challenge that you deserve. So let's do this.
100%.
Like, it doesn't necessarily need the, I turned on you or whatever you want to call it, like kind of thing. That being said, I think that this is the one match that is a lock, and I do not see Cody Rhodes saying I quit.
So a couple of things here. Number one, so part of me agrees 100%. Why are we redoing the Mark Henry angle? But I do appreciate that there's probably a new audience that's come in. That Mark Henry angle now we're going on 11 years since that aired. So there's probably a new audience that maybe hasn't seen it. And I do think him coming out with the pastel suit was a nod to the folks that they knew had remembered the Mark Henry angle and probably immediately were going to go, oh, he's faking this. This is BS. We know this is BS. And then, also gave Mark Henry a shine. I'm a Mark Henry fan. I think he did a really good job in kind of reinventing himself once he started the Hall of Pain stuff. So I loved that angle with him and Cena. I thought it was just perfect. This one, it's hard with AJ as a heel because I think he's such a genuinely nice guy. Like I saw him at the press conference earlier talking about TNA, and it's just like, man, this is I'm hoping. I love Cody, but it would be fun if you give AJ a short little title reign here. What a shock it would be. He waits so long to finish the story, and then he loses to AJ Styles. I think the I Quit stipulation makes things very difficult. But I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to say that tomorrow night, AJ Styles, the phenomenal AJ Styles, will be winning the undisputed WWE Championship. I expect him to lose it a month later at Money in the Bank. But I do think that, and then you'll set up Cody's next challenger for SummerSlam. But I'm going to go with AJ Styles winning the title tomorrow night.
Okay. I don't think
when will we learn?
I mean, hey, that's you put $1 on, like the Rays winning the World Series or something like that.
It's true. But I think this is one of the reasons I'm tuning in, because I know a lot of my friends who are going to be watching the show. Someone will be watching live. And if AJ wins that title, they're not going to be able to help themselves. I'll get the big eye text. I'll get the "Are you watching?" with 500 exclamation and question marks, and or I'll get the straight up AJ gif, and I'll be like, all right, you know what? I got to try to at least tune into the main event, see how this goes. It should be a good match either way, though. I think these guys. I liked their last match. That was really good.
Yeah. I think it'll be a great match.
Next up here, we do have for the World Heavyweight Championship, defending champion Damian Priest going up against. Actually, this is probably going to main event the show because they're in Scotland.
I think so.
Yeah. So I actually probably screwed this order up, but it will be Damian Priest defending his title against the hometown guy, Drew McIntyre. Steve, are we getting a new world champion tomorrow night?
I feel like I want it to happen. I want Drew to get the reign that he kind of deserves, that he's earned at this point. And I feel like what better opportunity to win in Scotland. Like it was such, like I popped when he won at WrestleMania, and that reign lasted all of 5 minutes. Like I loved that. And I like on the one hand, like Damian deserves a little bit better, but on the other hand, like his reign has kind of felt kind of meh.
Yeah.
And I feel like, because Judgment Day can kind of stand on their own, they have enough other stuff going on where like they can still remain relevant. But Drew, it feels kind of like this is his opportunity. Like this is his window. This is his shot. He's got to get it. So I'm not a very like confident pick, but I'm picking Drew.
Yeah, it certainly is going to be tough. Here's my whole thing is like, if Drew wasn't going to win, why? If Drew doesn't win, so I think back to the last Clash at the Castle, and I was convinced Drew was going to be the guy to beat Roman Reigns. And they had a great match at the end. Roman won. Outside interference from the debuting Solo Sikoa.
Yeah.
And I thought, all right, still a great match. He still looked great even in defeat. And he got on the microphone and he thanked the fans for coming, and he started singing a song with Tyson Fury. And I thought, he's done. What a loser. What an absolute fool. I'm finished with this guy. He'll never get another title match. He couldn't possibly have looked worse at the end of that show. But to his credit, he's reinvented himself. I feel like he's been on fire. I was right there with you at WrestleMania. I was so excited to see him get the win. I was when I saw Punk there, I was like, God, please don't let Punk cost him the title. And then, of course, Punk did lose the title, but it was a good moment. It's tough for Priest because I feel like, with this new regime, they don't typically hotshot things and change things quickly. But at the same time, it doesn't feel like, Damian Priest went from losing the 2 sets of tag titles in ladder match one night and the next night world champion, and then he hasn't been on a couple of these premium live events. So it's not really been fair to him. But I feel like it's got to be Drew's got to win the belt tomorrow. And especially if they go to Scotland, hometown guy, and they have Punk interfere and cost him the match, the place is going to be so angry that I don't think it'll be good all the way around. So I think Drew's got to win the belt.
The problem is going to be that they, we do kind of have a kind of bizarro situation coming in where normally Drew is the heel. He's not going to be the heel tomorrow.
Right.
Normally, Punk would be the face. He wouldn't be a face tomorrow.
Oh.
And the thing is, he's running in as a heel to cost the face the championship. But then the next night on Raw, it's going to be back to normal, where it's going to be, but you have Punk as kind of, the anti-hero, the face, whatever you want to have him as, and Drew's going to be back to the heel. So, and then I could see that happening, and that's kind of the one caveat of, I think if Drew loses, it will be because of Punk or some other sort of outside interference shenanigans, even though the Judgment Day is barred from ringside.
Oh, they're barred from ringside?
Yeah, because of the match that Drew won against Finn back on Raw.
I missed the end of that Raw. Yeah.
Or they're going to go some sort of shenanigans of, specifically they've only said that Dominic, Finn, and JD are going to be borrowed. But then they're going to, induct Carlito as a member, and then he's going to come out in costume, or something's going to happen.
Yeah.
I think if Damian wins, he doesn't win clean.
Yeah, which wouldn't do him any good either. I think if we were to win clean, I think that'd be like, wow, what a moment
it would
for
be
him.
huge. Yeah.
But I think you're right. And another piece of this, I do think Drew's going to win the title. I don't think he's going to have it very long, because I do think Punk's going to cost that title at some point, maybe to a Jey Uso or maybe to somebody else, so that you get the babyface heel dynamic going into SummerSlam against Gunther. Because right now Gunther he's the guy going for that title. And so if Punk is ready to return, I think it makes sense you do Punk and Drew at SummerSlam. They don't really need the belt. And I don't think a Gunther Damian Priest match is a weird one. So I don't expect that's the route they'll go.
But I could see Gunther versus Drew being a good match.
Oh, I think even Damian against Drew.
So,
Gunther.
yeah.
True. Yeah. Maybe they would do. It could be that it's Drew versus Gunther, and then maybe Punk returns after SummerSlam too.
Oh, that could be.
So we both are in alignment though that Drew should win, but again, I there's a lot of uncertainty, and I think that's great. I think that really drives interest in the show.
Yeah, for sure.
Next up, it's going to be another title match. It will be another hometown favorite. It will be Piper Niven going for the Women's Championship, the Raw Women's Championship, SmackDown Women's Championship against Bayley. A couple of things here. Number one is that Piper Niven should be very much over. However, Bayley should also be very much over. The UK crowd and the international crowd absolutely loves Bayley. If you saw the press conference today, they were doing the, oh, hey, Bayley, that whole deal. Yeah. And so it should be a fun one. Who do you see winning this match?
I still see Bayley winning.
Yeah, I agree. I will say I like Piper Niven a lot. I think everybody, at this stage knows that I had a battle with Bell's palsy. That once you have Bell's palsy, I feel like you always kind of continue to fight that piece and do what you can to kind of get over that. And for me, I know Piper Niven was very much honest about her battle with Bell's palsy, so I like Piper Niven a lot. I also think she's really solid in the ring, and she's used this opportunity to really make the most of it. With her having some really strong promo work over the building of these next couple of weeks, and certainly again today. But I think this is just kind of her chance here, but I don't see her taking the title off Bayley here.
Yeah, I mean, I do see that. I see that match being the opener.
I agree. That's your 100. Yeah, I think you're right. I do think it'll be a good match, but I don't think Piper Niven's going to win the belt here. It'd be interesting. I actually could see a situation where Piper Niven loses and you set up Bayley's opponent for SummerSlam, Chelsea Green.
But I'm pretty sure Nia is going to be gunning for Bayley.
Oh, correct. Good calls. Nia on
SmackDown.
SmackDown.
And I think that's kind of one of the other reasons why I'm leading into it. I see, Nia has kind of called her shot against Bayley, specifically. Right. So, and that's kind of where I'm like, yeah, she's gunning for it, but at the same time, like, I see that being the match at SummerSlam.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily know if they have enough hope in a Piper Nia match.
I agree. No, I don't think so. It'd be fun, but I don't think so. It'd be the Big E Classic. They have the storyline. Big E back on the New Day podcast back in the day. He used to talk about how he always wanted the big bruisers to have a match with each other because it'd be, big meat slapping big meat. Yeah, that would be kind of like that in the women's side of things if you had Nia Jax and Piper have a match together. But I agree. I think Bayley's going to retain here.
Yeah.
Next up, I'll be honest, it might be the match I'm looking most forward to. I've loved this storyline. It will be Jade Cargill and beyond. I'm just kidding. It'll be Sami Zayn defending the Intercontinental Championship against Chad Gable. How do you see this one playing out?
I see it kind of coming out two different ways. The one that I see happening in my heart, just because something similar happened on this past Monday, is Otis interfering, costing Sami the match, but unintentionally. Because the same kind of thing happened on Raw, where it looked like when Otis turned around and started running towards him, he started running towards Gable first. And It was only after Gable moved out of the way that Otis kind of momentum steamrolled into Sami. I don't think that he was gunning for Sami. And, I will definitely say that this also is one of the matches that I'm looking most forward to because of that dynamic and because of that story and how it plays out. And you're watching, and it's going to be, is this the moment where Otis makes the decision? Is he actually going to turn on Chad, or is he going to, cement it and he's going to align himself with Chad, or like what's going to happen? So I could see it where Otis kind of like, Chad pushes him, tries to get him to interfere, doesn't happen. Otis finally goes for it and either will be going for Gable, but Gable will move out of the way at the last second, and Otis clocks Sami, and that's how Chad wins. And I can see that being how he wins, or the exact opposite, where Otis does finally actually stand up for him. He does finally actually clock Gable, and then that's how Sami wins.
Yeah.
I think it's going to come down one way or the other. I think it's coming down to what Otis does.
I agree. I think Otis is a big part of this. There's a lot of different layers here. You can peel back those layers. I think this is a storyline that's going to continue. I don't expect this to be the end of the storyline, but I do think the big piece of this here is going to be Otis finally turning on Chad Gable. And I will predict that Sami Zayn will retain the championship. Also because I've already predicted here, the two big belts are changing hands. So you can't have all of them from me change hands.
That's true.
So I think Sami Zayn will retain. But again, I do think down the road, I do think at some point, Chad Gable, assuming he's resigned, because another piece of this is that his contract supposedly was up. I don't know how WWE had all these people at the same time. Drew's contract post-Mania was up. Becky Lynch, her contract expired. Looks like our poor guy Ricochet, who was about killed to a bloody pulp on Monday night, it looks like his contract is up. So a lot of different pieces here, and that would have been, that's a tough part of this. But if Chad Gable has resigned, I think he will certainly re-signed rather. I think he will certainly win the title at some point. But I think this part of the story is finally Otis standing up for his compadres and costing Chad the title.
Yeah. I mean, I can see that, yeah.
And then you see, not to get off topic before we get to the last match, I really think this would have been a great when Ricochet interfered and came to the aid of Ilya against Braun Breaker. I thought, okay, they're going to make that match on this show, and then that's going to be the match you do to get Ricochet. You can write him off, whatever you need to do while you do the contract piece. And instead, they just did it so fast. I think they just like hot shot it way too quickly. Whereas like this would have been such a great opportunity to have them have that send off for Ricochet on this show. I thought. Yeah,
or at the very least have Ilya versus Braun be a match on this card also. Like
absolutely. I thought they had a great match. I was not a Braun guy when he first came up at all, but the way they've built him up has been really strong, I feel.
Yeah.
All right, so the final match on this show, it is a triple threat. And it's interesting because I did not realize it was a triple threat watching Raw. So when the Witches came out and they ended up going up against Zoe Stark and Shayna Baszler, and then Shayna cleanly tapped one of them out, I was stunned and I was so excited. Shayna never wins. I obviously am a huge fan of hers. She lost to that Lola Vice on that NXT show, which just annoyed me.
That was a weird match and a weird ending.
Very weird.
I don't want to talk about it.
That was just bizarre. So her getting that win, I was so excited. Then I realized, then they showed the graphic for the triple threat, and I was like, oh, okay, makes sense. It will be the tag team champions, Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill, defending those titles against the aforementioned Witches and the team of Zoe Stark and Shayna Baszler. Who do you think is going to be winning this match?
I like Alba Fire and I like Isla Dawn. And I do actually like the team of Baszler and Stark. Like, I like what that team has looked like and everything. But I just don't see the champs losing yet.
Yeah. No, we're completely aligned in this one. I'd be very surprised. I mean, I do think there is a small chance that they decide at this show, if let's say Piper nor Drew is winning, they give somebody a hometown pop and have the Witches win the belts here. What is it? I keep calling them the Witches. I don't even know where I got that from. It's Isla Dawn and Alba Fire. But
they're kind of witchy.
Yeah, they are witches. Yeah. But I don't know where I decided that was their team name. but maybe they give them the hometown, because I do think like at some point this is going to end up being Jade versus Bianca, I think. At some point. I assume probably WrestleMania. But you could see a situation where maybe they have them already lose the belts and maybe start the build to them at SummerSlam. But I don't think so. I think that one I'm overthinking. I think Jade and Bianca continue to win, hold the tag titles and go from there.
Yeah. By the way, their team name is the Unholy Union.
Oh, they actually have a team name. That's cool. Yeah. And I will say I've loved the team too of Shayna and Zoe. I think it really works. I like that they have matching gear. It feels like that's something they did on their own. Like it feels like they randomly put them together, and the two of them were like, we're going to go out and get matching gear. We're going to give this everything we have. And I think that's awesome. So I completely agree.
Yeah, and they have similar looks and like similar styles and stuff. So I think that, it was definitely one of those like thrown together, but it works.
Yeah.
Kind of, teams. But yeah.
100%. So to recap, we are aligned that Jade and Bianca will be retaining the Women's Tag Team Championships, as well that we are aligned that Bayley will be doing the same. And we are aligned that Drew McIntyre will be winning the world title. But those are the three alignments. We are also head-to-head. Well, Steve, did you make an official prediction on the Intercontinental title match?
I don't think I did, but I think my official prediction is going to be that Otis is going – the ending of the match is going to be Otis turning – like he looks like he's about to turn on Chad. And he's going to go and like take a swing or going to run at him or something like that. Chad's going to move out of the way. Otis is going to clock Sammy and cost Sammy the title. And I think that that's how Chad wins the belt.
I like it. I hope you're right. I'd be thrilled. But I do think that's where we're going to go. I just think this time around, Sammy retains. And then the big one, let's see if I'm correct here with my thought or if I'm just a silly mark, that AJ Styles will be winning the undisputed WWE Championship, and Steve is predicting that I think most folks are that Cody will be retaining. But At least I think there's at least a sliver of doubt that the World Championship could actually change hands. The top title, when Roman was champ, it was like you knew that was never going to happen. So I at least like that piece of it.
Yeah, I feel like my thing is, I feel like if I'm to rank these in confidence of how I think it's going to go down, I think that the Cody Rhodes winning is the one that I'm the most confident in. And then number 2 would be Bayley. I think number 3 is Bianca and Jade retaining. And I think 4 is Drew winning because I'm not super confident. And because I see the Intercontinental going either way, I'm kind of like the least confident in that one.
There you go. Yeah, I think for me, I'm most confident certainly in Bayley. And then I'm second most confident in the tag titles. Probably behind that, I'm most then Drew, then Sammy, and my AJ Styles Hail Mary.
Your dark horse pick.
I will be, to the moon if AJ is somehow able to get this title tomorrow. It'll be, I just was doing my main events of King of the Ring. It would be Kane beating Austin for the title at King of the Ring 98 after he had a year-long build to win the title at WrestleMania 14. And you could even, if you go back and watch that match, you have Austin's bleeding because it's first blood, and the crowd is like I don't think the crowd thought any chance Austin was losing that match. And when they saw him bleeding, they were like, "Oh my God, wait a minute, he's bleeding!" Like if the ref sees it, that's it. And then the ref calls for the belt. Everyone's like, "What?" And he loses the belt the next night. He only has it for a day. But it'd be a similar moment if AJ wins the belt tomorrow.